Hi, my friends. Okay, so we went through the portal, the peak of the portal of Lionsgate on Saturday, 8/8. The portal is still open until August 12th. So technically, we're still in it, right? But now, what? Because this is the part that we don't talk about nearly enough. Okay, we talk about the portal, we talk about setting the intentions, we talk about releasing what no longer serves us. We meditate, we journal, we call things in, and then what? How do you know if anything actually happened, actually shifted for you? I think sometimes we expect spiritual shifts to be this enormous, dramatic experience. Like we're going to wake up the next morning and suddenly everything is different. The angels are singing, money's falling out from the sky. The person we've been manifesting is standing at the front door with a humongous bouquet of roses. And this, my love, and this 15 karat diamond. I want you in my life forever. Right? Oh my God. And sometimes, dramatic changes happen, but most of the time, that's not what shift looks like, right? Most of the time, I'm still laughing at that image in my head. Most of the time, the first thing that changes is just you, right? And sometimes the change is so subtle that you don't even recognize it immediately. Maybe something that would have pissed you off 2 weeks ago happens, and this time you don't care all that much. That is a shift, a big one too. Maybe you suddenly realize you don't want to have the same conversation you have with somebody 700 times. That's also a big shift. Maybe you say no to something that you would normally say yes to just because you don't want to disappoint somebody. That is a huge shift. So maybe you stop explaining yourself, or maybe something you've been desperately trying to hold on to suddenly doesn't feel that important anymore. Those are shifts. And here's another one people don't always recognize. Sometimes after doing a lot of energetic work, you feel nothing. You might feel a little empty. And we tend to interpret empty as something being wrong or missing, right? But think about what we've been doing. We've been releasing. We've been letting go of belief, patterns, fear, relationship identities, toxicity words, whatever you decided you were ready to leave behind. Well, when you take something out, there's going to be an empty space before something else can fill it in, right? The emptiness isn't loss, it's room to grow. So don't immediately rush to fill it in. Let there be space and pay attention because this is when you start noticing what you've been drawn to, right? Maybe suddenly there's a book you want to read, a class you want to take, a person you feel like you need to call, an idea that keeps coming back. Maybe you're thinking about changing something in your house, your business, your relationship, your routine. Maybe you're suddenly craving more quiet or more movement or more creativity. Don't dismiss those things just because they don't look spiritual, right? Your intuition doesn't always come to you during meditation with a booming voice saying, Yari, this is your next step. I wish it will be so much easier, right? Sometimes it's simply, you know what? I think I want to do this. Pay attention to that. And also pay attention to what starts happening around you. A conversation that you weren't expecting, someone sent you something at exactly the right time, an opportunity appears, you keep seeing the same thing everywhere. You hear the same message three different ways. Something you've been trying to force suddenly moves. Those are the moments when I want you to stop and ask, is this connected to what I've been calling in? And not everything is a sign, okay? But if you ask the universe for direction, if you want the universe for signs, then don't ask for directions and then ignore everything that shows up, okay? Don't ask for directions and you keep hearing left, 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 and you say, I'm going to take a right here, right? And here's something else that's important. Don't spend the next week checking every 5 minutes to see whether your manifestation has arrived. You planted the seed. You don't dig the seed back up every morning to see if it's growing. You water it, you make sure it has sunlight, you take care of the soil, you pull the little ugly, grass around, and you let it grow because you know it's growing underneath. And that's exactly what we're doing. So during the last few days of the Lion Gates and beyond, and specifically after it closes on August 12th, your job isn't to keep asking, did it work? Did it work? Did it work? Did it work? That's the adult version of, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Oh, Lord, I don't miss those days. Your job is to live differently, right? If you call in abundance, where can you make a decision from abundance instead of fear? If you call in love, how can you give yourself more love? If you call in confidence, where can you behave like the confident version of you is already there? If you call in freedom, what is the one thing you can stop doing because you just no longer want to do it? If you call in a new version of yourself, start being her or him or them. Because that's the part of manifestation we sometimes forget. You didn't just call something in, you have to become the person who can receive it, who has already received it. So this week, don't look for fireworks. Look for the little things. Notice what feels different. Notice what doesn't bother you anymore. Notice what you are suddenly interested in. Notice what you are ready to release. Notice what keeps showing up. Notice what you just know. And don't worry if you can't see the whole road yet. You don't need to see the entire road. You just need to take the next step. And on Thursday, I'm going to give you a quiz. It's something I've been working on, and I'm really excited about that. That's going to help you look at where are you right now and maybe discover something about yourself that you hadn't noticed before. For now, your assignment is very simple. Pay attention because you may have shifted more than you realize.